All right, everybody, here we go. It's yet another Selway Techno Saturday. Nice to see everybody in the chat. How's it going? We had some people in here like 30 minutes before. Let's say, wait, who was first today? Let's scroll back up and see. Of course it was John H. Kingston III from Rockaway Park, New York. I think you definitely, like, if there's a leader in who gets to be first in the chat, it's you, because I see your name up there every time. William Mindreaders is here. Pavel K2 is here, but he's going to check. Oh, there's a 343 Pro session going on right now, too. I always miss those because I'm streaming. But anyway, yeah, those are cool if you guys ever want to, like, check out it, like, get into, it's like kind of like the live stream, but more interactive. It's a private stream, basically, and you get to ask, like, lots of detailed questions and see how these artists work in the studio. So check that out one day when you're not watching my show. Hey, Josh Holiday, Max Wild, our fearless leader is here. Hello, Farning, that's a new name. And who else is in here? Bass Agenda, Andy Barton, what's up? Glad you could drop in for a moment. So yeah, this is what we usually do. We stream a few times a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Saturdays is my day. And we share with you what we do. 343 Labs is a music production school based in New York and in Berlin. We're signing up people for in-person classes in New York now. That hasn't really been happening for a lot of obvious reasons, but that's starting to warm up. We have our online classes starting. I've got classes starting, doing synthesis and sound design. I've got an Ableton level 2 kind of intermediate class starting very soon. So yeah, that's what we do. We have information down in the description, our website links if you want to know more about the classes and the scheduling and the pricing and stuff like that. Of course, we also have our Discord community that is growing. We do special events. We just did a sample challenge, which was a lot of fun. I even got in on it and did a little 1 minute kind of 90s house take on Max's saxophone sample that he provided. And that was a good time. So yeah, check us out there, join our Discord, see what's going on, submit your tracks for feedback, meet other like-minded producers and musicians of all kinds. And that's just another way to be part of our community, 343. Hey, Daniel from IntelliGel, glad that you're here again. And Enigmatic Onion, yes, he is back. He's a regular. Simple Sam is here. Nice to see you. So yeah, nice, good collection of regulars and some new names. Giveaway, right? What are we giving away this week? We have Sound Toys Echo Boy, which is a really great analog tape delay emulation. It does a lot of different types of delays and has cool. The sound is good. The modulation is amazing. I really like it. I use a lot of Sound Toys stuff. So yeah, if you have not already, scroll up in this chat and find the link here to join in. You've gotten, probably until about 1:45. To sign up, and then right at the end of the show, we'll announce the winner of this week's giveaway. So I think that's it for our housekeeping at the top of the show. Let's get down to business. You know who is here. My good friend and longtime production partner, Christian Smith, is joining me today. Hey,
hello,
Christian.
Hello, everybody. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. You look happy. I think we were clowning around before and making goofy faces. So yeah, we're both in a good mood today, I think.
Well, some things never change. But yeah, I'm basically really looking forward to doing this stream today because people don't talk much about hooks in techno music. And I think it's something that is often overlooked and not emphasized enough upon. And it's so important.
Absolutely. Well, okay. I mentioned this to Thomas at 343 when I was submitting the topic for today. And he kind of was curious, like, hooks, techno? I wasn't even aware. He's thinking of hooks as like a melody in a pop chorus or something like that. So what do we even mean by hooks in techno?
Well, anything can be a hook. Anything that carries the track. In techno, it can be a bass line, it can be a melody, it can even be a percussion rhythm. It really depends on each track. But today, I think we're gonna try to produce a few hooks on the spot, melodic ones or more atonal. We'll see what happens, and just to show how we go about it.
Sure. Yeah, I think like coming up, it's simultaneously thinking about like what a hook is, And then also, it's like, how do I start my track in a way? Because it becomes the main part of the track. And although sometimes you get it in the very beginning, like you start with kind of an idea that becomes the hook for the track. Other times you start building a track and you discover the hook later, depending on how it progresses. So, but we're just going to try to focus on like creating musical ideas that could be hooks.
Yes. I mean, I'm the same way. I usually like to start a track with an idea, whatever the idea is, whether I'm inspired by another track. Often I'm inspired by other tracks, and I try to do something similar. I don't copy them, but I try to do something similar, and it always turns out to be completely different. So,
I like this comment from our regular Simple Sam. Opposed to the fishing community, most people in techno don't really talk about hooks. Sam, that's silly. Anyway.
Yes. Anyways,
that's okay. We can have fun and be silly today, as well as try to make some hooks.
Let's get started, shall we?
All right. Yeah, we'll just dive right in. So yeah, I guess we're gonna. It's just part of this is also like Christian and I hanging out in the studio together. Obviously, he's in Spain on an island, and I'm in Manhattan, in New York City. So like, we're not in the same studio, but we can kind of pretend and like kind of we're going to be going back and forth a little bit on what to do. And my hands are on the controls, but like it's very much like an example of how he and I communicate with each other creatively. So that's another part of this. It's a little window into our working relationship, as it were. So where do we start? I'm gonna I actually, when we were fooling around before the show, I came up with something that maybe could be a hook for a certain kind of techno. So let's have a listen to that. I mean, pretty much it's a bass line, right?
Yeah, that's a bass line.
Is it a hook?
It can be. It depends how it's arranged, right? But if I were you, let's start something else from scratch. I think.
Absolutely. All right, but just to give the idea, like this
anything
came together.
Can be a hook.
Anything can be a hook. Like when it's techno, like if that bass line rhythm and melody and sound is catchy and interesting enough, that could carry the whole thing. And it's all, again, how you arrange it, what you do with it. But like, so, and for me, I've always had this idea with techno, or I mean, it can be house too, but anything where there's like hypnotic repetitive elements, like if you can make a pattern, a melody or a rhythm or a noise or a sample, whatever it is, that you can repeat and loop and you can maintain energy and interest without changing it, that you're on the right track. I would say. So
totally.
What have you got in mind? Let's start with what idea have you got for our first hook?
Well, you had that synth open from our last track in the project, right?
Yeah,
I think I think that was a I think that's a that's a Yuhi synth, no?
No, this one is Arturia's SEM.
Okay,
so it's based on the Oberheim.
Another great synth. I love Arturia. I'm a huge Arturia fan. But I'm not here to endorse them. I'm here to make hooks with
I don't know. They sponsor us, so yeah, we
okay.
Arturia.
Great. Yeah. But so I think that sound happens to be really nice as well. So let's try to come up with a programming of a hook, a bass line, or a synth line that can be one of the main parts of a track that carries the track.
Yeah.
So
what would you do first? I'm going to try to be your hands.
I would first we need to decide what note we want to start on, right? I mean, like, okay. So I don't know.
So when sometimes I do it just like playing around on a keyboard, and like, okay, that sounds too flabby, right?
A bit higher than high. Yeah. Yeah. Any of those, and play a few notes. Just. And
you can be so random. Actually, some of you probably watched Abe's stream, and you'll see sometimes when he comes up with the part, he just basically fools around sort of haphazardly, kind of half paying attention to what he's doing, and comes up with something cool. Like I just happened to randomly play, literally, I didn't even think about it. I just played those 3 notes, and that actually, as a melody, sounds pretty cool.
It does. Also, one thing you guys might not know, but the biggest acid tracks of all time, basically all of the ones from the 80s, all of those bass lines were random
So
sequences.
many were randomized. Yeah, not all of them, but some of them. Many of the best ones were actually
random.
kind of randomly created. Yeah.
I would say 99%. You know, it's like it's pretty crazy. So if you do, I wouldn't say that's the best way to going about creating a bass line is by doing it
Well, yeah.
randomly.
Like, are you going to be melodic? Do you want to kind of tell a musical story, or are you making? You know, we tend towards melodic parts. Sometimes we'll throw in noisy stuff and textures and rumbly basses and things like that, or like impact percussion sounds that are not necessarily tuned. But I would say you and I mostly have things are in tune and melodically sort of together. So
okay, so
I'm just going to stick with those 3 notes.
Yeah, and draw 3 notes in, and then we loop them, and then we move them around, and we see what we come up with.
So that's another thing I was going to ask you. Like when you're working, do you tend to draw the notes in, or do you play them?
Either way.
Either way.
I mean, right now I don't have a keyboard in front of me, so you have to do.
I know.
You
I have to.
You have to do the honors.
Okay. So there. You know, I'm going by ear here. Those are the notes, right?
Yes.
So now this, I didn't even think of rhythm there. I know it's not going to be right yet, but let me get rid of that other pattern. Sorry. All right, 2 square, right?
Yeah, that's
we want syncopated.
Well, we always like a bit of groove, right? And this is.
I mean, it's a groove, but it's very square groove. Some people like that. Some people like that kind of tight on the 8th notes in the kick drum, in the chord notes.
Very, very true, but you know, funk is always nice.
We need syncopation. Maybe. I mean, that could be a 2-beat loop, or I could repeat that twice in a bar. That's a little more pumping, a little more driving. I was thinking also leaving a little space.
I like that more.
Yeah, that's definitely more Smith and Selway style.
Then why don't you copy this over, and we change the end. So we make the sequence twice as long as it is now.
Duplicate.
Yes. And then we add another note at the end for some.
Or
exactly. So it's something, something subtle like that makes a big difference, I feel,
So we got a question. Functor, nice name. Functor asks, do you think a hook is something that only appears occasionally in a track? That's thinking more like a pop song, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're writing a song, a lot of times like a melodic hook will be a phrase that's repeated that catches your ear.
In techno tracks, hooks are there most of the time, I would say.
Yeah, then again, let's say you're doing more kind of commercial techno crossover stuff and you put a vocal on top. That could be the hook, right?
That's true.
So mainly, I guess we're talking about musical, like what elements of techno that are like more rhythmically based, more repetitive, that can be thought of as hooks, that are like the strong idea in the track, that everything is based around.
Okay, now we have this.
Do you like that, or do you like it more syncopated?
To be completely honest, I'm not crazy about this. It works, but I'm not crazy about it. So
is it the sound?
Can we try playing this one in a chord? 3 notes?
Sure.
Let's try doing this a bit.
This synth is monophonic, so let's find another synth, because I can just copy this over. What should we use? This is always a thing. We're like, what sound do we want? What do you have in mind for a sound? Something similar but poly?
Yeah. What about the Prophet 5?
Actually, now that I recall,
or the Jupiter, or
we can actually.
If we can make this one,
I should know this right off the bat, but like, even though this is traditionally, the Oberheim SEM is a mono synth, it can have polyphonic voices. So actually, it is polyphonic. So let's try.
Okay, good.
That'll save us some time. So now it's not going to be just a bass line anymore. There's 2 ways to go about this. I could build up the chords myself and add notes as a triad. I could also use technology and just use like a MIDI chord, a MIDI effect to make a chord. What would you do if you wanted to do chord stabs?
Do both. Let's do both.
Yeah. All right.
You know,
well,
this
this
is
is
like,
the,
you know,
the easy way and the kind of the classic parallel chords thing is you just, in live you take the chord plug in and you build up the notes of the chord. You can also go into the presets. Let's do minor. Actually, no, I'll just do it. So I have 3 semitones up and 7 semitones up. Oh, it's jazzy. Why?
or Detroity. Either way you look at it, right?
Right.
It's
Well,
like-
what happened is this sound already it's got the oscillators tuned 7 semitones apart, so it's playing a fifth. So I just made a big, like, stacked, more complex chord by playing 3 notes. Let's just try. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a bit too thick.
Now we've got... Interesting. I totally didn't mean for that to happen. But I like it. What do you think?
I'm not crazy about it. I don't know. It's like
You're going to be hard on me today.
yeah, I don't know. And for some reason, I'm also not into the sequence.
We liked it at first.
I know. Let's try to come up with a more
Let's try another one.
A more pleasing sequence. And
Okay. All right.
but with something chordy that we can work with and do something that we would actually use in a track of ours. I like this.
So more
already,
simple.
a lot.
Just one chord. And again,
Boom,
I didn't
boom.
think hard about what notes I was playing. I just put in a one minor triad, which sounds like more. It sounds like more than a triad because of the synth patch.
But
has
we
a
need
fifth on top.
we need more than that. We need boom, boom, boom.
Wait, you got a
add
rhythm
2
for
more.
me?
Add 2 more. Yes, a little bit further to the right. That's too close. Add the second one. Push it to the right a little bit. Maybe a little bit further even.
Wait, it's going
This
to
is
be
good.
You want to
think it's
swing
gonna
it? Because if I move it over another
Boom,
16th notes, it's going to be
boom.
on the kick drum.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
This is good. And what I would do here, I know this is mostly a hook thing.
Yeah.
What I would do here, which is super important, is to put a delay on this. If you don't have too many notes playing, you have more space, and you will see if you put like a nice ping pong delay on this, it'll open the sound right up. And
Or
it'll
a Sound Toys Echo Boy.
yeah, sure. And it'll make it much bigger, So in this, you hear everybody?
I'm just going through presets until I hear something I like.
Okay.
See, this would be good if it was quantized.
Yeah, but I'm never crazy about the presets. You always need to tune these a little bit,
Oh, I need the. I'm like, why isn't it?
That's too fast, the one. It needs to be a quick one. That's a nice one, but turn the feedback down a little bit.
Yeah.
On the. You hear everybody? This is kind of like a groove a la chord by Our Bricka that came out on Transomat, like
Let's
20
be
years ago.
honest. It's not the most original, never been done before techno idea. I have to say, nowadays it's hard to come up with, because I like this quote from something that Jeff Mills said a long time ago about how techno should sound like something new that you've never heard before. And it's hard to do that.
It's impossible. But you know what's funny? It's like, you and I, we've been around so long, so we've heard. I don't want to say we've heard it all, but basically the chord that we heard now, we heard many times before already.
Yeah.
But a kid that's been making music for 2 years hasn't.
Sure.
So it all depends. It's
or doesn't, or has heard it and isn't exactly sure how to get there.
I think the key is to do something that you like and that you're happy with. Easy
Right.
as that. Everything has been done before. Everything has been done before. Everything. That's the fact.
This is another thing to think about, is how the sound moves. That's part of it. I'll just,
Okay, why don't we try?
yeah.
Why don't you copy this this bassline a few times over and draw in a chord progression so we can.
Oh,
we can,
I see.
We can
we're
show.
going
We
from
can show the
chord
people.
rhythm to chord progression, but like, is this a hook?
I would say so because it carries the track, right?
But-
I mean, it's the main thing in the track, and
Right.
and especially if this chord progresses, it draws more attention to itself as well, and it breaks off the monotony.
Okay.
I feel. I don't know.
So I think I'm asking you because, again, like, people think of hooks as usually an individual, like a vocal or one thing that happens occasionally that catches your ear. We're kind of broadening the definition of what a hook is to fit what you do to make instrumental techno, I think.
It really
But
depends. And right now I'm thinking, like I've got the power. Da, 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 da.
That's a hook.
That's a huge hook.
Well, and just the sample, I got the power, is a hook. Right.
Yes,
So that's the
yes.
kind of hook that most people are familiar with. We're
Yes.
thinking about it in a little bit of a different way. All right. So I just did what Christian asked. I duplicated to make an 8-bar clip, and now we're going to transpose the chords up and down to create a progression, or modify them in some way. Like, no, that's too trancy, old school.
You're always yes, exactly.
You like the parallel chords, like,
Yeah, because you know what?
uh-huh.
One thing I appreciate you. One thing I appreciate about you is
Aw,
what
Christian.
what I do not appreciate about you at the same time. You're very very musical, and you always try to move around a few things. But at the end of the day, if you move everything, it's much more audible and clear. I feel,
I agree.
but it can work either way. Of course,
It's possible. It's a stylistic choice whether you're going to be more sophisticated in terms of harmony and melody. It kind of,
Exactly.
with techno, it usually, mostly, not always, but mostly works more easily or better, or more effectively when it's simple. Like, the musical part of it is simple, but the sounds can be complex. Max has a question. Max Wild, fearless leader. This sounds quite melodic with the chords and pitches. Can you make hooks, say, in minimal techno where they're just drums and bass?
Okay, you know what? I'm with you, Max. So now that we've shown this melodic thing, let's move on to a new hook. How about
Sure.
How do you feel about that?
Well, let's finish the progression and then
Okay, that's cool.
that'll be the
That's
one
cool,
thing
yes.
that we do. All right. So, all right. And we'll see. And again, I'm letting Christian really take the driver's seat in terms of musical direction here. Where do you hear it changing?
Up.
When? Like,
I hear it progressing up and
Like here? or here?
Here. The second part.
So should we go up a
Yes.
fourth, up a fifth, up a whole step?
Let's see.
It's pleasant. It's kinda like, la, la, la.
The second one, the second half of that should go down, put lower. Yes. Let's see.
It's nice.
That's too low. That's too low. It needs to be something.
But this is
Yeah.
Okay, come on. You know this is a cliche progression in techno. It's been done a million times. All of this has, actually. But this is a little more Detroit style now, which is that change in the note, right?
John, yes, but John, you know what? When you say something has been done a million of times, most of the producers out there will think, "Oh, this is pretty new," you know.
How do you like it lower? Too dark? I'm gonna
No,
have
it's
to change
good,
the
it's
sound
good.
a little bit. It sounds a little less fluffy and a little more serious an octave lower, doesn't it?
No, but we'll make something tougher now. So, let's.
We'll just keep that at 4 bars. Or just have it not repeat for the second half, which is a nice way of creating an A-B variation.
Yes.
It's funny, everything we've done together on my live stream has been very Detroity for the most part. This seems to be where we want to be right now.
It's funny because my solo tracks lately have been more like 137 BPM drum techno.
Yeah?
So it's like, it's just I'm very discouraged with this melodic techno that's coming out right now on Beatport and many of these big labels. It's just
what we're doing here is different.
Well, you say something has been done millions of times before, this chord progression, but compared to what you hear in those melodic techno tracks, this is heaven. It's like, it's really really bad disposable techno. So it's because of that, I've been going back to my roots and doing more harder stuff, and I like it. So like I said earlier, you just got to do what makes you happy and never try to make other people happy. So you got to make yourself happy first.
Scott says, you guys have been having the same convo for 20 years. This has got to be Scott Richmond. Is it Scott Richmond? Only you would know that.
Well, Scott is a house head. What does he know about techno?
He likes he knows techno too.
I know. He knows a bit of everything. I know, but he's a house head. It's like he wouldn't know. The darker stuff. Okay, let's do a more techno-y thing, less melodic.
Are we even capable anymore? I don't know. I have to be honest. Lately, I've been enjoying, as far as darker music, I've been more kind of in electro stuff. And with techno, I've been enjoying more musical, sort of lighter stuff. That's just where I am personally. So going this direction with the chords and stuff is sort of feels right now. But all right, how are we going to break it up? How are we going to get a little more aggressive?
Okay. It's not even about going. It's about choosing the right sound. For one.
Well, okay. That's half of it. It's not with techno. It's not just the rhythm and the melody. It's the sound as much as it is, right?
Yes, and I think for the harder stuff generally is much more monotonous. It doesn't have chord progressions.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have chords, to be honest. Let's face it.
It can, but you're right. It's like but repetitive most of the time noise.
Yes, and let's play the kick. Let's find a sound. Let's first try to come up with a programming, and then we look for a sound for it.
Oh my goodness, that's fun. So not even knowing what we're gonna sound like.
Hey, why not? This is the whole thing about techno, no? It's like going into the unknown.
Sure.
And making something out of it, So
I'm gonna put in a bunch of syncopated notes in a low octave. What's a synth that you may? Hopefully, I have it. What's a synth that you turn to for bassy, heavier sounds nowadays?
Oof,
Anything?
What? I hate to be the most common person out there, but the Mini Moog is normally my go-to.
Right, but if we want to be like darker, heavier, is that the right synth? Do we want something a little more modern?
It really doesn't,
because it's going to come out like, I know what's going to happen. It's going to come out like this, like bouncy Smith and Selway funky Moog bass thing again, which is our thing. But like, what if we want to be more tough?
Well, I
put distortion on it, I guess.
I haven't messed around so much with but there's so many good plugins these days. The Serum and all of these things are amazing.
Let's try Pigments.
Pigments is amazing.
You were saying you like it for arpeggiator stuff.
Yeah, I've been using loads of ARPs with this synth in my last few tracks, and really, really, really impressed with this thing. All
right, so I just loaded up bass. We're doing bass. We should have called this bass lines today instead of hooks. I'm just joking. It's kind of, again, it's in between.
No, good call. So why don't we do a bass line? That's one hook, and then we do another hook on top of this bass line. We have time. We just got to work fast. We just got to work fast. I mean, so when you're making techno, do you think rhythm is more important?
Yeah, Jack Dryden has a good question. What's more important, rhythm?
Yes.
Sure. Well, that's kind of what's happening here, because I just put in a rhythm like not exactly randomly. It's just only the offbeat 16ths, right? So it's going to you'll hear it when we load up a sound, and we're gonna let's try to get the rhythm interesting, and then we'll try to find a sound that fits the rhythm. Kind of is that what we're gonna do? Let's try it. All right, so that's a cool sound though. That's not a bass sound, but that's just the first thing that loaded up at Pigments. It's already like a bad minimal track.
A very bad minimal track.
Someone might like that though.
I know, but it would make me want to leave the club.
That's techno. It's not what you were thinking, but it is definitely techno.
Yes.
And that's just the first preset that came up.
John.
Yeah.
Instead of playing straight notes, can you do like two rhythmic notes?
I like that one though. Like I know someone out there was like, yes. That's like dark hypnotic techno already. Just that one thing. So
let's try I don't know, just something similar to Energy Flash. Because that's like
so let's just do Energy Flash.
No, it's one of the biggest techno hooks out there, right?
The delay
it's a horrible sound.
No, I know. Yeah. All right, let's try. It's probably the octave's probably too low. Let's see what else happens. Okay. Bass. Let's get into a better octave. This is fun.
Well, this is a very good rhythmic groove.
But it's also kind of Latin.
This is not a hook, for sure not. I wouldn't call this a hook.
No, it's part of it's like a rhythmic bass that goes under everything.
Yes, but
so
I like it.
To make this a hook, it's got to be a more distinctive sound or melodic idea at least, right?
Yes.
And this has got a very old school kind of, even though it's a modern synth, just it's got that. Let's try.
Leave that. I like that. That's kind of like DJ Hell, mid-90s style, right?
I feel like I need to pump the drums up a little bit more for this.
Yes. This is techno. Hell yeah. This kind of reminds me of
you could dance to that for 10 minutes and it would only take the kick drum in and out and the hi-hat in and out and it would be fine.
You know that. But and if you want to do 20 minutes, you layer this sound with another one and automate it. But
sure. I mean this could be your track. This could be your hook already.
This alone is a hook. It's like make it how fast is this right now?
133.
Okay. Do 135. It's a little bit more standard techno. A little.
Yeah, things are a little faster nowadays, aren't they?
But even though there's no gigs out there, yes. Oh yeah. I don't like that. At the end was good. A longer one.
And just that high note could be your hook.
This is a hook now.
Have we ever made a track that sounded like that?
I don't.
We're gonna keep this one. We're gonna finish this one. I like this.
Sure. I especially like the first few notes. I'm not sure about the long one that we just added.
Okay.
But I like this, and I like that it's a bit rougher sounding, rougher around the stuff. Doesn't always have to be clean, As long as it's mixed down well, being rough is kind of cool. It's good. I like it, But you should still have a clean, how should I say, overall mix down if you can.
Sorry, I spaced on you because I was reading Daniel's from Intelligent's question. Say that again for me.
Well, somebody just asked about Jeff. Is Jeff Mills the biggest synth sound? Yeah, I would say the Bells definitely is.
Yeah, but this one is. What are some of the most iconic, memorable harder techno riffs that are not based in a traditional synth sound? Jeff Mills' The Bells comes to mind. Like, can you think of some sort of like iconic tracks that had a hook that are like a unique sound that's not a typical synth?
Well, I'm sorry, The Bells is a typical synth as well.
Well, it doesn't.
Like,
when that came out, that was unusual sounding.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
so
true.
Now it sounds we're used to it, but there's like a million. I mean, Jeff Mills started a wave of people making these hypnotic, like sine wave bell like tones happening all the time, right? There's tons and tons of techno. It's just a thing in techno now. I'm not dissing it. There's some amazing stuff.
Yeah, no,
I like the vibe. It works. People like it. But so that's an example, like these kind of sine wave ringy bell sounds on top of techno.
I would say that DK8 Murder was the bass.
Oh my gosh,
that was very unique.
But that's still, that was a synth. But it's the way it was used. I gotta say, yeah, it's not like, it's hard to say a specific sound.
Because that track didn't have a specific sound, you know. Like now, most of the tracks you hear on Beatport are all like synth presets, you know.
There
mostly.
are a lot, but I'm not afraid of presets if you use them right.
No, hey, exactly, no, but like people don't take risks enough. You know, and this stuff like you know, Jeff Mills being completely out of tune and all this kind of stuff and not giving a shit. You know, it's like
or being out of tune on purpose, which is a thing people do, like using alternative scales and stuff like that.
Thunder, oh
yeah,
somebody,
Dave Clark Thunder, Andy Bass Agenda mentions that one. It's escaping me what that one sounds like.
I don't remember that one either, to be honest.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
But Dave Clark used in his Red series, he used chords, sampled chords from like Kevin Saunderson.
That's like
tracks. You know?
That's true. But that was repurposing. Like I would say, Good Life, that alone, and where they sampled it from, which I think was Nitro Deluxe. Let's Get Brutal. That's where that chord stab comes from originally. So that was a unique hook with just a chord stab. Right, and then that got sampled, and that was made a hook, and then Dave Clark used it, and it was made another hook. For sure.
Well, instead of talking, let's get back to this.
I like talking.
I know, me too, but I think the people here also want to see
action.
This is good, man. Maybe add 2 more at the end. But yes.
I like that as a variation.
I like this. I don't like that.
Just as a fill sometimes. I wouldn't do that every.
It's off, man. That's good.
That could be a good variation.
Could be, yes. This is where it's at.
It's jacking. We both like jacking beats, right? They have that. It's very kind of Chicago-y, you know.
I mean, and which is very popular. People like Ben Clock and stuff. They play this style a lot.
Sure.
So and I think the most important thing with these kind of tracks is to stay simple. You know, don't mess it up. Don't change the sequence too much. Mm-hmm. Simplicity works way better than complexity.
And that goes back to the idea of like what a hook can be in techno. And in a track like this, it's a bass line, but it becomes a hook because it's got this energy and this power, and it's the sound and the feel of it and the repetition of it that keeps interesting. Wow.
Well, is this a bass line? I wouldn't say so.
That's another thing that, like, you know, bass lines in techno. I mean, is it that rumble? Is it just whatever low frequencies? Is it an actual melody? I would say all of the above. Techno, you can think of bass in techno as a sound that has low frequencies in it and is rhythmic. Like,
but to show to other listeners, let's go back into this sequence and let's fatten it up. Can you let's fatten it up a little bit? You know,
fatten it up. What do you mean by fatten it up?
I would add some mids, upper mids.
Oh, all right.
In the EQ, some compression. Put a sidechain on it. You know, just
because this isn't EQ'd at all.
So, and I just, you know, because once this is fattened up, it's gonna sound hot.
Well, yeah, we don't want to get way too caught up in mixing, but
no, exactly.
I should be using a better EQ for boosting stuff, but
yeah, but this is just on the quick that you're doing now. It's like just.
I like it with a little more presence. It's
be careful with more. Yeah, but the resonance, you know, you don't want to. You want to
just a little bit.
Stay clear of them.
All right, let's. I thought we weren't going to do this. But
Okay, so
actually,
let's
no,
not do
wait.
it.
No, it's okay because this is another thing I talk about when I'm teaching is that, especially with techno, the mixing and the sound design is part of the composition process.
100%.
Yeah, so it's hard not to do this right from the beginning.
Yeah, because you might have a bass line or melody, but until you finished processing the sound till the very end, exactly the way you want to have it, you don't know if it's going to work
Right,
or not.
because it's going to change everything if you do all the mixing later.
Yes.
So you kind of need to have it sounding right for that groove from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's louder
exactly.
now, but I'm saturating it a little bit inside of.
Okay. But we're using this, okay?
Yeah, no, this is getting saved,
like
and
it.
we're gonna use it. And then
Let's make like a Chicago track around this, you know?
And I was thinking it needs to have more bottom end in it, like a little more sub. I won't take the time now, but that's
then
something. There's two things I would do. I might go in here and find. All right, what's the sub oscillator doing? And then bring that up. It is in there. It's already in there at minus 12 semitones. So that's noise. So I'm not going to break the sound now. But anyway, that's the idea, is that maybe adding in like a sine wave sort of sub underneath it will help fatten it up a little bit more. But you could also just layer it. I'm doing sound design. Sorry. I mean, simple.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I'll do.
No. Yeah, you mentioned Inner City earlier. Why don't we do a similar hook now? Now we've done this techno thing, or Detroit-y one. Let's do like a more kind of like a crossover melodic hook.
Huh? All right.
Before we have like 20 minutes.
We have as much time as you want. Actually, that's not true, but.
Also, I want to say with this, what we're working on right now, there's two ways to approaching a sound like that. Either you fatten this up all you can, by layering a bass line below it, or you cut all the bass out and you do whatever you want with the bottom. You can have a rumbling bass below it, or a rhythmic toms. There's many different ways you can go about finishing this hook.
So this needs some work, but that's the idea. Is that I was trying to get
it. I like the key is also when something sounds rough and good, try not to change the sound too. Yes, because
it's got more bottom end on it now for sure.
And to be honest, I liked it more before.
Okay.
Yes, it's in your face, you know.
You're right. What were you saying before? You were saying about cutting the low end out of it. Now it's becoming more like a lead noise without the bass in it.
Yes. Oh, this is good as well. Like this. Yes, and you can put like reverb on. It's gonna go. Put the reverb again. Sound.
Needs a better reverb, but yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh, I like that. Automating the reverb to come in at the beginning makes a hook. I'm serious. I'm gonna try. I know you're like what?
I like this. This is good.
Yeah,
I
we got
really,
that.
but
So
this
we just made our reverb an instrument.
This reminds me of Der Klang der Familie, a little bit. Boom,
Ooh,
boom.
Anyways, that's a cool sound. That's a hook. Yes. That high pitched noise, which I think is basically feedback.
Yeah.
It's like it was running some percussion through a delay with a really short time and a high feedback, and it makes that high frequency like cutting. Oof.
I don't think they were that complex.
No, they just fooled around with their effects and then it happened. No, I mean, I think recreating it will be hard, but that was a cool thing that happened.
I think it was just a gated string. That's what I think. I think it was just a gated string. Anyways,
our good friends, Begonia and Mike.
Very true. Everything can be moved over.
One of the notes could be moved over. Let's ask which note then. Let's see which note should be moved over. And Christoph Lemon says, and a clap that answers.
No, this track needs to have a straight clap on every kick for sure. There's no question.
You wouldn't do counterpoint. You wouldn't have like a. Actually, where is my clap?
Yes, it needs to be that.
I think that maybe that's the idea he's getting at, is that there's like in that empty spot, there's a little clap that comes in. But I also doing it. This is jacking to have just to add to the kick drum.
Exactly. I'm a huge fan of this. You know.
I feel like the clap needs to be bigger now, but let's see.
Baby.
What are we just going to continue making this track? How are we doing for time? 147.
No. Let's start it. Let's start a completely different hook and a real melodic hook. Okay.
Okay.
Not a bass line, because it would be a bit, you know, we're doing a show about hooks and just doing a few bass lines. You know, let's do one traditional melodic hook.
So, Begonia and Mike say the third one.
Okay, let's see. Nah. Move it to
that works too. That's got that gallop to it.
Yeah. But that's the beauty, you know, just experimenting.
They all work.
And finding a way that makes you feel most comfortable. You know, it's like whatever makes you most comfortable. There is no right or wrong in techno. That's one thing I really like.
Well, if everybody stops dancing, it might be wrong.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe
you never know. That also comes
riff
down to when it is played in the set and the venue and the sound system and how people are feeling that night. Like,
very true. And that minimal riff you came up with like half an hour ago, that would make me want to leave the club for sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But there is, that there's a style of techno that follows that direction.
I know.
And also, I would refine that to make it more unique.
What can I do?
I wouldn't just leave it like that.
I'm heavily opinionated, and everybody has their own style, and that's cool. You know,
yeah.
So I don't diss anybody. It's just not my vibe. That's all.
Got it.
You know, it's like
all right.
Okay.
So
okay.
What's
let's save this. Save this.
Oh, it's saved. I mean, all right, it's saved. But
and let's come up with like something similar to, let's say, this is not easy at all, but we just do something similar to Good Life.
Okay.
Big Fun.
I mean, that's not so different than what we were doing here, just with a more energetic rhythm and a brighter sound.
Yes, that's true.
So it's kind of going. So it's trying to make this less mellow.
No delays, and more tighter and a faster programming. You know.
Right. I'm just gonna start with a simple. I don't know. I'm gonna load up a wavetable and just a sawtooth wave, like simple subtractive chord stab. I mean, this is not a complicated sound. So, I'm unsoloed there. All right, and then that. And we pretty much need that kind of a shape with some filter mod from an envelope, right? So just as a starting point, we can tweak the sound to make it better, but this is where we're starting. And put in. There it is. Octave, there's a sub oscillator.
That's good, but yeah.
All of this, making it brighter. But let's get the rhythm and the melody, and then we'll tweak the sound to it.
And let's try to work on an old school, genuine, real hook. You know, like, and similar to Detroit, where you start like three chords, like dun 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 dun, something like that. You know,
very old school.
Yes, but three in a row. You know, that's really important. That the start is like. No, no.
What are you thinking? What's the rhythm?
No, it should be, let's say. No, wait. I'm saying,
It's a window into Christian's mind right now. How does he get what's in his mind out? To me, in New York, from Mallorca.
The first two notes are fine. Then the sequence, yes, needs to be transposed. Yes, and two right next to each other. No, they're too close to each other. Let's do. Yes. There you go. I'm sorry, but this is a solid, good hook.
Let's rough it up a little bit. A little loud.
And this is not something that you would hook, that you would loop in the entire track. You know. I don't like.
I mean, I'm just playing with the sound a little bit. Is it too wide now?
Yes, it is. And can you go back in the sequence? There needs to be another after. No. Yeah, after the was it the third sequence is by itself. It needs to be another one at lower velocity, I think.
Yeah, I'm just playing with the velocities.
Can you copy one over there to the not there?
This is actually, I like this kind of style of using velocity to control the. It's louder and softer and brighter and darker. It's changing the filter.
Yeah.
I almost want to hear more ghost notes in it now, like a little more quieter in between.
But when you do these things, you lose. But my opinion is you lose effect. You know.
Like you can barely not.
I don't like that last. I don't like the last progression. I don't like the where
this one.
Yeah, it should be more musical. Better.
That's like move your body.
Yeah, well, it's kind of similar. It has the same, but it's not the same rhythm. But yeah, but what hasn't been done before? You know.
I just did an inversion. That's for you, Max Wild.
And the key.
What you think?
And my opinion on this is, if you have a hook like this is not something you want to loop the entire track. It gets boring as hell really fast. You just need to have it in there a few times for a few measures.
Okay.
And generally, the more the less you loop it, the more powerful it will be. It will be more effective. You know, like. No. I'm just saying what we had was good. But this is nothing that you should loop for like minutes at a time.
Right. So we're going to work with this sound. We're going to automate it, bring it in and out, build it up, take it out. You know, it's going to be in the arrangement. It's going to. I see what you're saying. So this is going to be more like a hook actually, because we're not going to have it constantly in the track. Like a track,
exactly.
Like what we were doing before with the heavy. That thing, that's going to be the whole track. Everything's going to be built around that. Whereas this one, it's going to be like, right. Like the track's going to be going and then it's going to fade in or automate in and then go away and then some other element's going to come in. So we're going to have sections where that's, okay, that works. It's almost 2. We have a few minutes left. Have we announced the winner yet? Did anybody win? I've been looking at the chat. I'm going back. This has been a really busy chat today. Apologies to anybody if I missed your your
Also,
questions. I feel like
if
we
you
had some
have-
good questions
yes.
today, though.
Yeah, let's. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask. How you feel? I don't know. We can just give input. Is very important.
We don't know the answer to this question. I just thought it was funny. Who coined the term stab?
I'm sure it was somebody that was long before we were born.
Oh yeah,
That's
I mean,
for
if you
sure.
think, I always thought, like horn stabs in jazz, where they go, "Bow," like it's just a short, sharp note.
Yes.
But yeah, who knows how long that's been? Who else is in it?
Long before house and techno. That's for sure.
Definitely. William Miter says, "Oh yeah, I like to think about the saw shape, sharp like a knife, a stab, and just making a kind of a connection between the visual shape of a sawtooth waveform. It's kind of like."
But also
like
the sequence we just had was kind of similar sound to that track that he was talking about.
Here's a good question from Luke Edwards: is there an ideal length for a techno melody?
Not too long.
That's it. No, not too long.
Unless you're like really, really good musically and can change things over time in a very cohesive and really good way, I would stay away from long melodies. It's like techno is about repetition and monotony, and if you do it too long, you just get people lost, including yourself. My opinion.
Yeah, and it depends on the style of the track. Like you there's that "Just Close Your Eyes" vocal from Jim.
The Doors.
The Doors, yeah, and that's like kind of a melody that goes over bars and bars and bars, and that's kind of the hook of the song. But underneath it are these repetitive bass groove and drums that don't change that much. So, and then
Yes.
if you're talking about Jeff Mills kind of techno, like there'll be these little 2 beat or 1 bar melodies. They rarely change over more than, in terms of what melodic and rhythmic element there is, they rarely change over more than a bar or so.
Yeah, but that is also because Jeff sampled most of his tracks are him sampling other tracks. Him sampling Italo disco and this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Jeff,
there's a lot of he's sampled more than people realize, I think. Which we all have. So
Of course.
we have a winner. Hey. Congratulations to Functor. I love the name. That's great. You have won the Echo Boy from Sound Toys. We're going to get in touch with you about how to collect your prize. So yes, congratulations. This has been a lot of fun. I think we got like at least 2, maybe more good track ideas to continue with out of this. And, I think the debate, honestly, is still sort of up in the air, like what exactly is a hook? And it depends on your point of view, what style you're making. I think with techno, a hook can be almost anything that works. But a lot of times, and I think definitely our best thing that we came up with was that. This is a situation where the bass line is the hook. And then also, I feel like that little automation with the reverb on top, like just adding another layer of sound, is a hook itself.
Yep.
And this plus drums and a solid arrangement, this is going to make a really great, tough Smith & Selway track. So I'm looking forward to finishing that with you.
Yeah, likewise. We just got to make sure that we keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's like simplicity is the key for tracks like of this nature.
Yeah. Not overdo it. Keep it straightforward and keep the power going. Nice. Thanks, Christian. This has been absolutely awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And, we'll do it again one of these days. But yeah, you and I are overdue for like a proper studio session. So let's set that up soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. Congratulations again to Functor, our winner of the giveaway this week. That's it, everybody. I'm actually going to be off next week. I'm not exactly sure what we have planned to fill in, but, keep an eye out on, our usual channels here to see what's coming up next Saturday. So thanks, everybody, for being here today. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Adios.
Bye-bye, everybody.